Today I want to talk about 3 hidden mistakes that property investors often make. And the first one for me is wanting to settle on a Friday. And that comes from the fact that when we're buying our own home, we settle on a Friday, we get the keys and we move in over the weekend. But the challenge is that 20% of settlements don't settle on the due date for human error. So that's a problem if it's a Friday, because peak settlement time is between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. on Friday afternoons. And if there is an error that needs to be fixed, it leaves us very little time to get it done before close of business. But the challenge with that is if we don't settle on the due date, we incur penalty interest on Saturday and Sunday when typically the professionals are no longer working, and hopefully you can settle on a Monday. So ideally, the best time to want to settle is midweek. Tuesday or Wednesday, where you can, because that gives you enough time before Friday or before the weekend to sort out any issues that may arise if you're one of those unfortunate people that don't settle on the due date. So one of the hidden mistakes I see is just that wanting to settle on a Friday. The second one I see, which is often hidden, is thinking that the accountant's got depreciation fully covered. Now, let's be honest, accountants have got heaps of tax act that they need to cover, lots of clients that they need to consider. But the main consideration for your accountant is they don't specifically walk through your property. So they're relying on the information that you provide to them so that they can then claim the right amount. Whereas I think you need to send a quantity surveyor out to the property because they will physically inspect the property and look for everything that can be depreciated, give it to you in a report, and then give it over to your accountant. And in my view, that gives you a much better opportunity to get the maximum allowable deductions that you can get. So the things that you need to consider is, what if your accountant misses some claimable items that you didn't tell them about? What if they categorise something incorrectly based on the information that you've provided them? Or what if there's been some updates to legislation that they're just not quite across right now? For example, the 9th of May this year, budget night, there were some huge changes that were made to depreciation that aren't even clear to some of the experts what they are. So it's important that we stay on top of these. So for me, the second one is making sure that we get a quantity surveyor to go and check out the property to make sure we get maximum deductions available. And then the third mistake for me is the do-it-yourself approach. And quite often that's not evident until down the track, when we're looking in our rear vision mirror and having a look at the past and seeing how everything went. But the challenge is we can never get that time back. But people are often reluctant to get professionals involved. But if you think about buying investment property and building a portfolio, it's more than just going online to realestate.com.au and looking at the properties and deciding which one you want to buy, because we've got to have a strategy in place that turns all of our dreams into actionable goals. We need to make sure we've got a finance strategy in place, not just a borrowing capacity, but we're making sure we've got the whole portfolio building exercise in mind. We've got to make sure that we're buying a property that's investment grade, not just investment stock, because we know the investment grade properties outperform a lot of just the basic investment stock, and that has a huge compounding impact. We've got to make sure we have a buffer in place so that if we're going to have maternity leave or something, we want to renovate the kitchen or we want to go on a big holiday, we want to make sure any of these fluctuations in cash flow have been fully accounted for. So for me, they're quite often considerations that are forgotten when people are building property portfolios. But I think if we are aware of them, we can overcome them. So make sure we don't settle on a Friday. Make sure we get a quantity surveyor to prepare a depreciation schedule for our property. And thirdly, strongly consider surrounding yourself with a team of professionals so that you can get the best outcome for your portfolio when you're turning those dreams into goals.